All right, well, the topic today is ClinicalKey, and we're going to walk through how to access it and how to use it to the best ability, or get the best out of it. So in addition to going through our regular ClinicalKey features, we'll also go through some point of care enhancements. Right now, I'm on the home screen for ClinicalKey, just like you would have within your network. I've not yet had to log in. I am connected through a trusted IP address, and that's what you guys have set up. So as long as I'm on the network or VPN'd into the network, I can access ClinicalKey without having a login. And it's great. I can do I can do all my same searches. I can look up all the same content, the journals, the monographs, and the textbooks, all this different stuff. But I'm not logged in. It doesn't know who I am. But I still can browse through all this stuff. I can start by searching a topic at the very top. We'll come back, I promise. And I can browse by clinical content with clinical overviews. You want to see which calculators, and then narrow by specialties if you like. Below that, you can see different sections that I can browse. Again, we'll come back to it, but I can jump directly into patient education or adverse reaction reports, or clinical overviews, which are it's a topic summary. So if I look up if I search for something, I will typically find a clinical overview for it, and it gives me what it sounds like, an overview of that topic. We'll come back. I want to show you the overall page first. If I scroll down a little bit, there's a section where I can browse the books, journals, procedural videos, and multimedia images or videos that are within the system. Now, I'm going to find these when I search, but if I want to go and look for a book or a journal, I can do that here as well. Below that, it's got our news and updates. I can view new books that have been added, new books and journals that have been added, and clinical overviews that have been updated. We'll also have trending topics. Typically, these are the most recently, this actually other updates is most recently searched or highly searched stuff. So it's been COVID-19 stuff for a while, as well as trending topics, same deal there, COVID-19. And then there's an overview about how to use ClinicalKey. So there's ClinicalKey enhancements. That's, if you're familiar with CK or ClinicalKey and you want to see the point of care enhancements, this is an excellent video. And then there's a ClinicalKey for GME. It's a fantastic video on some of the more robust features of CK. For you librarians out there, this is the CK Adoption Kit. This is marketing and communication information that will help roll out or help with your adoption of this product. And then there's also a training calendar. We do trainings much like this one fairly regularly. There's at least a couple a month, and you're welcome to attend any of those. They'll not only do an overview, they'll also do kind of a more in-depth or sometimes more specific searches or talk about new features within the product. There's some great stuff in there. At the very bottom, there's a contact us. So if you're really having some trouble, if there's issues where you're unable to get to a hold of us or something like that, there's some great information in there. And also there's a resource center, and there's some great information in there, overviews of what textbooks are in here, the full listings of all the journals and that sort of thing, as well as some more of that stuff about rolling it out for your librarians, printable things, posters, and that sort of thing. What I wanted to run through the first page first because I wanted to see kind of what's in there, but we will definitely jump in and show more of it. Before we do that, I want to talk about registration. I mentioned at the very beginning that you are IP authenticated. That means that the system looks at your IP address on your computer and says, oh, this person is at an institution that has access to CK. And when you launch the ClinicalKey link, it just takes you right in. But it doesn't know who you are. That's okay. You can actually use the product and probably not notice any difference to begin with. You can find all the same searchable features. You'll find all the same results when you search, but you're missing out. So at the very top of the page is a link that says register. Now, again, it knows that I'm within the IP range. It knows that I'm at the hospital or within the library or network. And I just put my information in there. First name, last name, an email address and a password. They really want you to use, if possible, your work email. If you don't have one, it will allow you not to. You might want to check with your librarian before you do that. But what we're doing here is setting up a login. And as soon as you've got that, you fill this information out. You don't have to receive any emails from us. You do have to agree to our registered service terms of service. As soon as you do that, when you launch the page, you'll be able to log in. I actually logged in earlier. And the page looks exactly the same, except that now it knows who I am. And when I search for something, it will save my search in my history. I can also save favorites, and I can even what they call subscribe to individual publications or documents or textbooks. I'm not going to get a copy of it, but it's going to let me know when a new issue comes out. We click on these three little lines here, and you'll see I have more options than I would have had previously. And so you'll see I've got a section for my settings. That's how I like it to show up personally. My CME credits. I can change the language. I can save my content. We'll talk about presentations in a minute. I can even request remote access. Now, you guys are accessing it through a VPN, so you may not need to do that. But if ever you wanted to, you have the ability to request remote access, and that just means that you don't have to be on the network to access it. All right. All of that is to say that once I've logged in, or if I haven't, these search features, they work the same way. I think probably the most frequent thing that anybody does within ClinicalKey is launch it, and from the very top window, start searching. I can sort based on type, but I don't have to. So if I start typing something in there, we'll try atrial fibrillation. I'm not great at spelling, so I'm going to just type AFib. It's going to use predictive text to try and help me out if I'm a bad speller or if I just don't want to type the whole thing in there. So you'll see that I've got a whole bunch of responses or replies to this, and I'll choose, we'll choose complications. The page is going to refresh, and it's going to bring up all of my results. So you'll notice the top that I've got 6,762 results. The very top, I'm showing currently in the new view. If I'd like, I can, if I've been using it for a while and I like the previous version, I can click over and see the classic view. It is the same content, it's just sorted differently. I actually like the new view. You'll see it's got more of a library card sort of a thing with more information. So for my clinical overview, which is usually the first thing that comes up, I can jump directly into different sections, the summary, the diagnosis, the workup, or the treatment. I mentioned the clinical overview a minute ago or earlier. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's not going to be a specific chapter or journal article. It is going to be an Elsevier written overview of this particular listing. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and show you what it looks like. There we go. So on the left-hand side, I've got all my different sections within here. You'll see I can jump directly into key points or pitfalls, differential diagnoses, diagnostic procedures, and on and on. If there's something urgent, if I'm having something crash right in front of me, there's an urgent action section for what will give me all the things I need to know right away. At the top of the page, because I'm logged in, I can save this as a favorite. And that will just mean that it is added to my list of favorites. I can either apply it to an existing tag. So I might have a set. It's just like when you're in your bookmarks in your browser, you might have different folders for different things. So you apply a tag and say, this is all my stuff about atrial fibrillation. So I can apply an existing one or create a new tag and just save it. I'm not going to save this one right now. I can also email it to a friend, and I can print the whole thing out if I'd like. We're going to go back to the AFib search, though. We're going to back up one. So here are all my results. Again, I had 6,762 results. But you'll notice to the left-hand side, I can create filters to sort to find exactly what I'm looking for. So there are 6,066 journal articles. That's pretty good. I might really, though, only want to see clinical trials. So I would click on the little box to the left-hand side there and resort based on those. Again, they're going to be treated just like anything else. I can launch each one of these clinical trials, read all about them. I can save them as a saved search, but they're going to, again, be treated in the same way. I've got the same sections there. Back up real quick. Alternatively, I might only want to see listings with images. So here's all the images for this particular listing. I'll pick this very first one. So I view it in this, it was giving me a little trouble. So I view it in the source, and it's actually taken me to the individual, in this case, journal article. I can view that larger. There it goes. I wanted to show you this because within an image, I can save this image as a favorite. I can email it just like I can. But you'll see this little arrow with a little square. I can add this image to a presentation. What this means is that any of the image throughout ClinicalKey, if I want to use them in a PowerPoint presentation, I click this little button. I can select an existing presentation that I made previously, or in this case, I can create a new one. I'll create a new one. We'll call it AFib. Click Save and Add. And it adds this image as a slide with all this information into a PowerPoint presentation that I can download at any point and use however I'd like. That's saved for me forever. It'll be over here on the left-hand side. I'm sorry, on the right-hand side under presentations. There's my new one that I just made. So from here, I can double click on it. I can export it as a PowerPoint presentation, or I can add more images to it. So these are all ones I'd made previously. Searching's great. I think that's probably the most frequently used feature of it, but you also have the ability to browse throughout all of the different things. You saw when we searched for something wide open like AFib, we had thousands and thousands of results, and I was sorting based on the type of information or the type of publication that I wanted to look for. But I might want to just start from there. So I can say, we looked at a clinical overview, let's look at a drug monograph, why not? If I pull up drug monographs, it's going to have there's a search feature or a filter feature at the top. I can use the index across the top, or I can search by drug class. Any of the ones that I select, it's going to open up in a new window, and there'll be an overview of that particular medication. Typically, these are going to be very, very similar on the left-hand side. There'll be interactions, adverse reactions, classifications, and all our reference material. Anywhere where you see reference material, it'll always have a link out to the article. And in many cases, it may be us, or it may be a PubMed article. In this case, hey, it was us. So it jumps me back over to there. Those are all great. The drug class overviews, the calculators don't get enough play. I think there's some really amazing ones in here. I'll just select one real quick. So these are all the infectious disease calculators. There are just tons and tons of different ones that you might select. And they all work like you would think so. We'll choose, oh golly. It's an input-output thing, just like you'd see elsewhere, but you can always sort based on them. Browsing as well through the books and journals is huge. Again, probably most people are searching, but sometimes you just want to go and look and see what's available. I'm going to select books. Here are all the reference and textbooks that you have available within the system, and you're able to sort through them based on just typing a listing in there. You can also jump directly to any one of the letters in the index, or you can browse by specialty, and you can add more specialties if you'd like. Not sure why it only has the first 10, but there's tons in there. Any one of the books that you're interested in, we'll choose Andrew's Diseases of the Skin. Will be in there in full. I can jump directly to any one of the different chapters. I can jump directly to the video contents if I'm interested. Those will be, in this case, different videos that I might want to see from within this overall document, or in this case, textbook. Same deal for journals. You'll see it's a very similar listing. Typically, we'll have some featured journals. These will be ones that have a brand new issue in most cases, or something exciting going on with them. Sometimes an entirely new journal will pop up, and they'll be the featured journal. We'll do pediatrics. So I selected the journal itself. It's going to show me all of the original, all of the volumes or all the different issues that are available. So if I select, we'll choose 2022, and we've got, and I want to read March's issue. There it is. I can jump directly to any of the articles within this one. I can print or save as a PDF any of these articles. So if I want to download any of the articles within there, I can do that just by clicking on the little PDF document. I can save them as a favorite. I can email them to a friend, or I can print them. There's also a link when I'm in on a journal for subscribing. Now, like I mentioned before, it's not going to send me a listing. It's not going to send me a new copy of this when I click subscribe. But what is going to happen is when a new issue is published, I'm going to get an alert that that's happened. So we're going to do one last one. We're going to do a topic search. We're going to go back. Actually, we'll do it from here. We'll do liver disease. If I can type. Again, that's a pretty open overview. So I've got a couple clinical overviews to start. I've got a disease overview over here on the right-hand side. It's going to take me directly to, if I've searched for something and I need to narrow that down a little bit, this is going to be a full topic I can jump directly into. I also can see full text only or full text on and Medline. This is actually going to give me more results. There we go. And the deal with that is that it will jump, this will add those Medline ones, which will let me link out to PubMed or to JAMA, which is pretty good. So it gives me more options. We'll pull this full text article. That's one of ours. So it's a full text article. Again, it's taken me directly to this article within volume 44 of issue 4 of this publication. I can subscribe if I want to notate this, or if I want to get the rights and content, so I can use this somewhere. I can do that as well. All right. So we did our browse. I can go back through and browse all those things. These are the same options I had at the top. I can go directly into my tools. There's my calculators, my drug interaction report, my do not crush list. I can go directly into my saved searches if I'm interested, and I can always view my search history. Whenever I'm doing, if I forget to save something as a favorite, I can go back to my search history and find what I looked at recently. Back up here at the top, they refer to this as the hamburger. It's these 3 little lines at the top. It just brings up this menu. But again, we talked about at the very beginning, I can change my settings. I can search or request CME credit for the research that I've done. I can also go directly to my saved content or my presentations. I can request remote access, and I can log back out. I'm not sure anybody ever does that. If you close this window, it'll make you log back in. And until you do, you won't have your favorites and that sort of thing. All right. Well, I know that's a ton of stuff in 20 minutes, but I want to give you a quick overview of it. I always tell everybody to try it out. I promise you can't break it. In most cases, people find what works best for them, whether it be searching and then narrowing those searches, or browsing, or just looking at particular publications. Librarian, there's a great stuff about this adoption kit. There's a training calendar that's live trainings for different topics within here. But also there's a listing for content. There's our master content list and our content updates. And then I mentioned the adoption kit. There's some really cool stuff in here around, well, why is this so effective? What's so great? But tools you can use. There's downloadable banners and posters and pictures and that sort of thing. And if you need a quick reference card, if people are having trouble about how to use it, there's some really neat quick reference cards. You guys aren't doing the registration ID and password, fortunately, but setting up remote access or these posters or banner ads might all be good too. All right. Well, that is my nickel tour.